Does it ever feel like you're building your career on sand? In a world that feels like it's in constant chaos, the old rules of work are pretty much broken. So today, we're going to decode the new playbook for 2026. We'll be using some amazing insights from LinkedIn and Greater Pacific Capital to try and give you a clearer path forward. Let's get right into it. To figure out where we're going, we first have to get a real handle on where we are. And where we are is different. We're not just dealing with one-off crises anymore, like the 2008 recession or the pandemic. It feels like we've entered a new era of, permanent instability. And this quote from Greater Pacific Capital just nailed it. Volatility isn't the exception anymore, it is the system.
So this constant state of crisis, it actually has a name, and it's a concept that really reframes how you see the world. The strategists over at Greater Pacific Capital are calling it the Metacrisis.
Now, the key thing to understand about the Metacrisis is that these aren't separate problems anymore. They've all kind of fused together. You've got political turmoil that fuels financial fragility. The crazy fast rise of AI adds a whole new layer to geopolitical stress. It's like this giant tangled web where if you pull on one thread, you end up tightening all the others. And here's the real kicker. The very institutions we built to manage all this risk, they seem to be broken. They're either totally frozen, not very effective, or in some cases, they're actually making the chaos worse. This is the challenging new landscape we're all in, and it's completely reshaping the world of work. Okay, so this meta-crisis sounds huge and kind of scary, right? But what does it actually mean for you, for your job search, or for your company's hiring plans? Well, according to LinkedIn's latest data, it creates a market of really deep contradictions. So on the surface, things look a little grim. Global hiring has dropped, and people are hunkering down in their jobs for longer than they have in a decade. And that, of course, creates a fiercely competitive market. But if you look just beneath the surface, a totally different story is unfolding. Get this, at the exact same time all that is happening, in emerging markets like India, hiring has absolutely skyrocketed. We're talking a massive 40% increase from pre-pandemic levels. So opportunity isn't just disappearing, it's relocating. And that relocation becomes crystal clear when we look at advanced economies. In the United States, hiring is down 23%. It's like two completely different worlds happening in one global market. When you look at the full breakdown, it really reveals a global market that isn't just slowing down, it's rotating. You can see the explosive growth in places like India and the UAE, while North America and Western Europe are in a definite cool down. Work is just flowing across borders in ways we've never really seen before. So this global rotation, it's not just about geography. It's also forging entirely new kinds of jobs, and it's demanding a whole new set of skills. Welcome to the new world of work. A key trend that's emerging from this big shift is the rise of what are being called new-collar roles. So forget white-collar or blue-collar, that's kind of old thinking now. These are hybrid jobs that demand a mix of everything: tech skills, practical capabilities, and maybe most importantly, the ability to just constantly adapt and learn. These roles are fast becoming the new backbone of the economy. And what's the main engine creating all these new-collar roles? Well, a huge part of it is AI. Check this out. In just the last 2 years, employers have created over 1.3 million new AI-related jobs. We're talking about roles like AI engineers and data annotators. Jobs that barely even existed a few years ago are now essential. And hey, it's not just for the super techie specialists. The demand for just basic AI literacy, simply knowing how to use these tools effectively in any job, that jumped by 70% last year in the US alone. This is becoming a foundational skill, kind of like knowing how to use a computer was 20 years ago. So all of this really points to the single biggest driver of change. And let's be honest, a lot of anxiety in the world of work today: artificial intelligence. Which, of course, brings us to the question that is on literally everyone's mind. With all this change, is AI actually destroying jobs? Is that what's causing this hiring slowdown? Well, according to LinkedIn's analysis, the answer is a pretty clear no, at least not yet. The data shows the hiring slowdown in some countries is really being driven by traditional economic factors, things like uncertainty and interest rates, not by AI replacing workers. For now, AI is actually a net job creator. Okay, so let's just recap. We have a meta-crisis that's creating a fragmented job market, and it's all being reshaped by AI into these new color roles. I know, that's a lot to process. So the crucial question is,
how do you not just survive, but actually thrive in this new reality?
All right, so LinkedIn provides a really powerful 5-step roadmap. First, build resilience by blending AI skills with those timeless human skills like communication. Second, companies need to look for hidden talent by upskilling the people they already have. Third, and this is huge, hire people who can manage the massive changes AI brings. Fourth, build strong professional networks. Your connections are more valuable than ever. And finally, use geoflexibility as a growth lever. That means tapping into a global talent pool to find the right skills at the right cost, no matter where they are in the world.
And that really brings us back to where we started. It's clear from the sources that we're at a historic turning point. The pressures building up across geopolitics, technology, and the economy are pretty severe. But as Greater Pacific Capital points out, these periods of deep transition are also where renewal happens. So the final question they leave us with is this. In an era of great change, are you going to be an architect of that renewal, or are you going to be overwhelmed by the transition? The choice, really, is yours.